Greetings, my fellow black melanated kings and queens. Billy the Prophet here. A sacrificial warning has been given directly to me from the realm. Our brother Charlamagne the God is now in the realm. Credit in the source, blackenterprise.com. So it's been reported unto we the people, we the black melanated people, that our brother Charlamagne the God signs $200 million iHeart extension. That is what? A contract. Signing contracts goes back decades. And when you're a black artist signing contracts, you are now with the powers that be called new blood. Time traveling back to the year 1967. So back in the year 2019, I was 24 years old, and I'll never forget this moment. I was watching TV, listening to the Music Choice channel, and when Linda's voice came through that TV speaker, I was just mesmerized. She immediately became one of my favorite singers. I immediately started doing the research on her, and little did I know she would start coming within my prophecies. And no, this is not a real news printing. This is a news printing I wrote and I created within the Canva system. I told you, my people, black music, it's had its Masonic touch. The Masonic touch, the Masonic stamp always has to be there. So what is that showing within this photo? She signed a contract with Loma Records, and Loma Records is ran by a white man. Well, he's the vice president. I'm gonna show y'all the real article. Signing with Loma, recently signed to Loma Records is Linda Jones, shown here as she signs her contract. On the left is George Kerr, the Lark's producer, who stands by with George Lee. On the right, Loma vice president. As the prophet, I wonder, did our sister Linda Jones, did she know, or did she go into it blindly? Because 5 years later, our sister ended up passing away. Y'all know nothing goes past the prophet. Again, I will be breaking this down in a whole separate video because she always comes to me in the realm. And it's time that we really start speaking for the artists who lost their lives, especially at that young age, 27. 2 + 7 is 9. What does the record company that she signed with, Loma Records, equal up to? The 3-6 murder by numbers. Okay, so we see signing contracts are very dangerous for the black woman, for the black man. And that very black man and that very black brother is Jimi Hendrix, our gifted brother, Jimi Hendrix. Our gifted brother, Jimi Hendrix, my people. See, this is a deep, spiritual, biblical rabbit hole, and I can't wait to finally break it down. But I wanted to show you guys what happens. My people, my black melanated kings and queens, our brother thought he ran to an industry that could help him, that could save his life, but they were marking him. All along, they were marking our brother. So our brother Jimi Hendrix, in the year 1968, he signed what they would call a PPX Enterprise contract. Bringing the spiritual evidence, here we have the contractual agreement. Here is the date. You see, I have it underlined. The 24th day of June, 1968. Breaking down the numbers. June 24th, 1968. 6 + 2 + 4 + 1 + 9 + 6 + 8 equals 36. Powers that be, blood sacrificing number. The company that Jimi Hendrix had the settlement agreement with goes by the name of, well, per se went by the name because they're shut down now, PPX Enterprises. Plugging in PPX Enterprises in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Ritualistic markings all around our brother Jimi Hendrix. So we see signing contracts is a spiritual blood marking, and you can become a blood sacrifice. National radio host, our brother Ebru Hardin, went on to say,
Listen, there were things that Charlamagne was willing to do that I would have never done. Never. And that's how you get to those big bags.
So my people, y'all know I have to come real. I'm the prophet, so I'm only gonna come real. One of those things, my people, that he said that he had to do, the things that Charlamagne has to do to get that big bag, because it never comes for free. It always comes with some spiritual sacrifice. And when I tell you, my people, my eyes are too spiritual, too spiritually gifted for anything to go past me. So when I look at a brother as Charlamagne, a black brother, right, as Charlamagne, I see somebody that's willing to play in homosexual rituals, masonry rituals. That's a part of masonry, homosexual rituals, having to lay on your back with the Jewish white man. And see, let me explain something to y'all. The fellas in the hood, they know about me. There's nothing to hide. It's really never been nothing to hide. So I really don't understand why brothers feel like they need to play in Jewish man rituals. That's never been for us. So you see, Masonry is a type of fraternity. You have the brotherhood, the rituals, the principles. Credit in the source, nyunews.com. Homosexual hazing rituals in a heteromasculine context. At the talk, Ward discussed the homosexual contact between straight white males as a part of hazing rituals and how it affects their heteromasculinity. Heteromasculinity is the social and cultural pressure that in order to conform and reaffirm their masculinity, males must fit a certain physical and sexual mold. Hazing is not simply a practice, it is also a heteroerotic trope, Ward said. I wanted to ask where straight white men in the dominant cultures fit into these incongruent sex practices. Credit in the source, www.henrymacau.com. Freemasonry's best kept secret, ritual sodomy. Sodomy is a form of brainwashing. Freemasons are able to be a closeted homosexual organization due to the amnesia of half the victims and the psychological denial of their own homosexuality by bullfruit perps like Jerry Sandusky. I brought this article because I had to come with the spiritual proof. We see that again, homosexual rituals is a part of the Freemasonic rules. It's a part of the Freemasonic rituals. And here is more spiritual proof of our brother Charlamagne's involvement with Freemasonry. On March 25th, 2025, brother Charlamagne was featured on Variety magazine. First Masonic marking. These titles of high honor are spiritual markings that the powers that be leave on these celebrities, especially black celebrities. Looking at that name of what they call Charlamagne, the Grandmaster of Radio, as soon as I saw the Grandmaster of Radio, my people, as soon as I saw that name of high honor, I knew, I said, that's a powers that be name. That's a powers that be marking. And you know that you don't have these high honored names, these names of high honor for free. No, it's always will come with what, my people? A sacrifice. The definition of Grandmaster. Credit in the source, Merriam-Webster.com. Grandmaster, the chief officer of a principal lodge in various fraternal orders such as Freemasonry. So by having that high-ranking name, that high-ranking title, the Grandmaster of Radio, we see that has another marking involving what? Masonry. So by seeing the words the chief officer, it lets me know spiritually that Charlamagne is moving up in his ranking in Masonry, because in order to be a chief of something, that means you're high up. You've worked your way up. Second Masonic marking. Colors are spiritual and colors always matter, my people. And the powers that be, the Freemasons, they take colors and they use them in different rituals. And orange is one of those colors that the Masons use. Credit in the source, www.esotericmasons.com. Orange is an important color in Freemasonry, the world's oldest and largest fraternal organization. It is an important symbol of the fraternity and a reminder of its missions and values. The color orange has a long history in Freemasonry, from early rituals to modern times. In this article, we will explore the significance of orange in the fraternity, its Masonic symbolism, and how it is used over time. Orange is a bright, vibrant color that is a mixture of red and yellow. It is often associated with energy, warmth, and the sun. In the visible spectrum, it is located between red and yellow at approximately 585 nanometers. With the spiritual evidence, with the spiritual proof of the color orange representing Freemasonry, we see that's a Masonic stamp, that's a Masonic marking on the brother Charlamagne. I want to circle back to the second sentence. The color orange has a long history in Freemasonry, from early rituals to modern times. I want to point something out because it says from early rituals. And what is one thing that we see that they point out? It says it represents what? The sun. In ancient practices and cultures, the sun was and is a deity, and sun worship is a ritual used within Freemasonry. And my people, we all know that the Most High God is the creator of the sun. Credit in the source, www.biblegateway.com. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verses 14 through 16. Let's read. And God said, let there be lights in the vault of sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars, the three things that we can see almost every day: the sun, the moon, the stars. My people were created, all created by the Most High God. So, and we see it's coming from straight from the biblical scriptures. Freemasonry takes biblical things and make them satanic. The role of the sun in Masonic rituals. The sun is one of the lesser lights in Masonic lodges alongside the moon. It symbolizes the Master Mason's authority and guiding light during lodge meetings. The worshipful master positioned in the east represents the rising sun, signifying new beginnings and enlightenment. Rituals often invoke the sun's blessings, emphasizing its role in guiding members from darkness to light. And we know, my people, and we know this just not even being with the powers that be. When you give worship to something any other then God. Second Masonic image. Freemasons use body language and hand gestures to show their loyalty and honor to the Masonic order. So here we have Brother Charlamagne with the forefinger to the chin. See, that is a Masonic pose. Credit in the source www.foxyfox.com. Summary number 4. Past Master Dugard. Thumb and forefinger under/on chin. It alludes to the penalty to have his tongue split from tip to root. Here is the spiritual evidence. I have the arrow pointing at the chin pose right there. That chin pose has a very sinister meaning. That description refers to a specific Masonic sign in Dugard for the past master degree or similar honorary degree, where placing the thumb and the forefinger under the chin or on the lip symbolizes the penalty of having the tongue split from tip to root, a symbolic representation of keeping secrets and the severity of the obligation. It's part of the Masonic ritual to illustrate the commitment to secrecy and loyalty. Bullet number 1, past master degree, an honorary degree often for those becoming a master of a lodge involving deeper instruction. Bullet number 2, Dugard, a sign or gesture made to prove one's Masonic standing. Bullet number 3, symbolism. The action represents the oath to never reveal the secrets of the degree, with the severe penalty signifying the absolute importance of silence. What happens when a Freemason who took the oath and made a devilish vow decides to unveil the rituals and secrecy within Masonry? Credit in the source www.history.com, dating back to the year 1826. One man exposed the secrets of the Freemasons. His disappearance led to their downfall. Before his book could be published, William Morgan was dragged away by a group of Freemasons, never to be seen again. My people, what do you see in this photo? The master coming to get his slave, coming to get his prey, coming to get the man who's going to be a part of his blood ritual. Whew! I tell y'all, slavery is very Masonic. But that's another rabbit hole for another day. In the early morning hours of September 12, 1826, a Batavia, New York stoneworker named William Morgan went missing from the local jail. Morgan was not a man of importance. In fact, he was known as a bit of a drunk, a drifter who, according to historian and author of American Hysteria, the untold story of mass political extremism in the United States, Andrew Burt had moved his family relentlessly throughout the countryside, hauling his wife Lucinda and 2 young children from one failed venture to the next. But Morgan was more than the vagabond he appeared to be. He had also managed to infiltrate the secret society of Masons and was threatening to publish a book exposing the powerful organization's tactics. As a result of his plan, the local Masons began harassing Morgan, hoping to stop the publication of the expose. After being held in prison on trumped-up charges, Morgan was bailed out by a group of Masons and carried away, never to be seen again. The conspiracy surrounding his disappearance fueled local anti-Mason sentiment, which in turn led to a national anti-Mason movement that shook to the core one of history's most influential secret societies and changed American politics forever. Numbers never lie. Plugging in William Morgan's name in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by number, and also the number 66. When you see that number 66, they want you to add that extra number, 666, the mark of the beast, which is very satanic. Circling back to the spiritual question, what happens when a Freemason who took the oath and made a devilish vow decides to unveil the rituals and secrecy within Masonry? As William Morgan, you can become a 3-6 murder by numbers blood sacrifice. Third Masonic marking, the one-eyed symbolism. Signs and symbols hold deep spiritual meanings, and celebrities often use them to show their satanic allegiance. Credit in the source, thevigilantcitizen.com. Western occultism. Considering the fact that Western occultism was greatly influenced by the esoteric teachings of civilizations above, the symbol of the all-seeing eye made its way into orders such as the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons. And anything to do with occultism and Freemasonry, we know that that's a satanic ritual. That's a satanic marking. The modern one-eyed sign. Considering the fact that the world today is ruled by what we call the occult elite because of its ties with occult orders, it is no surprise that its main symbol is found everywhere. However, it is done in a deceitful way. Today's entertainment industry thrives on control, manipulation, and distortion. It is all about debasing the masses from everything that is true, pure, and healthy. Today, the symbol of the all-seeing eye is now about a select group of people oppressing, monitoring, and controlling the world population. So by Brother Charlamagne showing his allegiance to the occult, showing who is pushing him through the system, oppressing him, also who are oppressing us, we the consumers, we the people who are entertained by these things. It's all a game, my people, until the sacrifice is made. Fourth Masonic marking. Here we have our black brother holding his very own marking in his hands. This chess piece is spiritual and Masonic, my people. We have to start learning how to read between the lines. These photos, these images, these trinkets that these celebrities hold, they always hold a different meaning, my people. And as soon as my prophetic eyes saw this chess piece, I automatically knew what time it was. The numbers will always show up. How many pieces are in the game of chess? 32 pieces total, 16 each per player. Whew, my people. 3 times 2 equals 6. The 3-6 murder by number showing up in the chess marking right in this photo. The spiritual meaning of chess. Chess's spiritual meaning lies in its powerful metaphor for life, faith, and inner self, representing strategic decision decision-making, spiritual growth, the battle between good and evil, and the journey to self-mastery, with each piece symbolizing different aspects of human nature and divine forces, making it a profound tool for the contemplation or morality, destiny, and the soul's journey. Life as a spiritual journey. Bullet 1. Life as a game. Life mirrors chess. Every move has consequences, requiring foresight, strategy, and discipline. Much like spiritual growth needs focus and intentionality. That's how these celebrities see life, as a spiritual game. When you're working with the powers that be, when you have to sign contracts, right? You're now in the pawn of a game. You're now in the web of a game, of a spiritual bloody game. On this earthly realm, we know that every move has spiritual consequences, and signing your name down in blood definitely has spiritual consequences. Chess and Freemasonry intersect primarily through shared symbolism, particularly the black and white checkered pavement, mosaic pavement representing the duality of life, balance, and the harmony of opposites. And that chessboard is where they stand. What you see on the right side is where they stand and do a lot of the satanic rituals. Nothing of God, nothing of Christ, my people. These things are very demonic. This is why I'm speaking on it, because they're misleading the black brothers. To be in that industry, you have to go through this Masonic order, this Masonic system, which is nothing that the black brother should ever be touching, because that same Masonic system was once used against your ancestors in slavery. White Freemasonry and slavery. Bullet 1. Complicity. Some white Masonic lodges and members participated in or benefited from the slave system, with Masonic connections sometimes aiding the slave trade. Bullet 2. Internal divisions. The issue of slavery created deep divisions, with some Masons owning slaves and others opposing it, leading to debates within the fraternity. So we see that Freemasonry goes back centuries. That's why they love the black blood. They've been capturing the black blood for decades, centuries, my people. Let's wake up. Fifth Masonic marking. On the November 2025 issue of Vibe magazine, Charlamagne is here posing with his co-host Dolly as Bishop for the Vibe magazine, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of their podcast, the Black Effect Podcast Network. Celebrities use their clothing to show their allegiance and show their sacrificial warnings. Sister Dolly rocking the white and Brother Charlamagne rocking the black, both of them showing the Masonic allegiance. The 3-6 murder by numbers shows up all around Charlamagne's career. And when I started doing this breakdown, I said, let me go make sure nothing else is going to come up so I don't have to come back and do a part 2 on this situation, on this sacrificial contract. And when I went and did the numbers, my people, everything came up. The spirituality, the sacrificial warning is all there around his career. And as the prophet, my people, I know when things come to me, it's meant for me to speak on and it's meant for me to break it down. These numbers didn't show up around these things that I'm breaking down now for just any reason. Nothing in this prophetic realm is coincidental. And plugging in the phrase Freemason blood sacrifice, it equals up to 639. What is that? The 3-6 murder by numbers. One of the major Masonic laws Freemasons go through are humiliation rituals. Crediting the source www.earthsepictales.com. Exposing the dark truth behind humiliation rituals. A humiliation ritual is a practice involving breaking down an individual's self-esteem and dignity through various means. This can be achieved through psychological manipulation, blackmail, or even physical abuse. The concept of humiliation rituals has been explored in numerous contexts, including occult practices, power dynamics within organizations, and the entertainment industry. In some cases, these rituals are believed to have spiritual component, with participants engaging in acts that they perceive invoking dark and malevolent forces. This can involve the use of symbols, chants, or even blood sacrifice. The goal may be to gain power over others and bind them more closely to those who hold such influence, which is what? The elites, the occult, the powers that be. And in the year 2001, Charlamagne went through a Masonic humiliation ritual. Brother Charlamagne the God was accused of raping 15-year-old girl Jessica Reed in South Carolina in 2001. The 3-6 murder by numbers is all around this humiliation ritual and rape case. Breaking down the numbers. Yearly number 2001. 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 equals 3. How old was the young lady Jessica Reed at the time of this humiliation ritual? 15 years of age. 1 plus 5 equals 6. The 3-6 murder by numbers marked on this humiliation ritual. And in the year 2018, the humiliation ritual resurfaced. Crediting the source, thebreakfastclub.iheart.com. Charlamagne addresses allegations that he raped his wife. Earlier this month, sexual assault allegations against Charlamagne the God resurfaced from 2001 in the case of now 32-year-old Jessica Reed. While the internet started taking the story and pulling it in multiple different ways, it turns out the case was settled in court 17 years ago. Let's stop right there. Key numbers and markings showing up again. 32-year-old Jessica Reed, 3 times 2 equals 6. Case settled in court 17 years ago. 7 minus 1 equals 6. The 3-6 murder by numbers has shown up twice within this humiliation ritual. On December 19th, 2025, Brother Charlamagne was featured on Forbes magazine. Plugging in Forbes magazine and daily cover in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, ritualistic sacrificial numbers showing up on Charlamagne again. Forbes magazine also equals up to the number 69. When you take the 69, you invert it, and what do you get? 6-6. As I always say, these are powers that be spiritual puzzles. So add another 6 and you get 666, the mark of the beast, representing evil. And at the top of the magazine cover, you see the words daily cover. When you plug in the words daily cover in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. As shown previously, Charlamagne and his podcast colleague Dolly S. Bishop were featured in the Vibe magazine. Plugging in Vibe magazine in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. You also see that 6-6 showing up again, the mark of the beast. The new terms of Charlamagne's $200 million contract is with the company iHeartMedia. Plugging in iHeartMedia in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers, and also again 69666, the mark of the beast. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. Some years back, Charlamagne released a book titled Black Privilege. Plugging in the book titled Black Privilege in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. Charlamagne released another book by the title Shook One. Plugging in the book title Shook One in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. And the third book is titled and the third book by Brother Charlamagne is titled Get Honest or Die Lying. When you plug in the title Get Honest or Die Lying in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. Charlamagne's podcast goes by the name Black Effect Podcast Network. When you plug in Black Effect Podcast Network in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up. Plugging in Charlamagne the God in the gematria calculator, it equals up to the 3-6 murder by numbers. Powers that be, sacrificial numbers showing up again. Concluding this breakdown on the contractual agreement, the $200 million contractual agreement that Charlamagne has signed his name down in blood on. So my people, I bought it. I broke everything down. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open, okay? Don't be surprised if somebody around Charlamagne drops, or if he could become, because remember that show, Angela Yee all of a sudden decided to dip out, right? I tell y'all, those things are sacrificial as well. That's the part that they're hiding. But you can't hide it from the prophet. Okay? Till the next rising, my people. Love y'all. Be safe. Be good.